Hello friends, today I'm going to talk to you about why being the elite changed pro wrestling for me, forever. So I became a pro wrestling fan between 2016 and 2017. Of course, all I knew about professional wrestling at the time was the WWE. And that's okay because that's what a lot of people get into first when it comes to professional wrestling. I was mesmerized by the likes of Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho, and Kevin Owens. I thought the 2017 Royal Rumble match was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed WrestleMania 33. Unlike most people, I thought the Seth Rollins Triple H match at that year's WrestleMania was awesome. Around the summer of 2017, I was working as a camp counselor for the summer. One of my fellow counselors was also a wrestling fan. However, he was a fan of other promotions that I had never heard of, ones like New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor. He told me I really needed to watch something called Okada vs. Omega, which I had no idea about. And I remember going on YouTube and looking up an Okada Omega match and being like, okay, I don't get it. This is fine, but this isn't the WWE. I think my problem is that I was at the point where I only wanted to limit myself. I thought, okay, I personally only enjoy the sports entertainment part of it, so there's no way I can enjoy something a little more wrestling-centric like New Japan. Cue late summer 2017 when I was listening to a wrestling podcast. I would love to tell you which wrestling podcast it was, but honestly I don't remember. I think there's a very good chance it could have either been Steven Larson's Going in Raw, or something by What Culture, or maybe What's Wrong with Wrestling, but I don't think so because they mainly talk about WWE. The problem for me was that I just needed something. The problem with me and other promotions was I needed something to kind of bring me in. And I just hadn't found that yet. I had heard crazy stories about people like Joey Janela and Leo Rush and Keith Lee, partly thanks to watching some episodes of WCPW and the WCPW World Cup, which I personally think was a lot of fun. I think WCPW is one of the most underrated promotions from that year. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. Maybe I'll talk about WCPW in another video. But late that summer, I heard on a professional wrestling podcast about something called Being the Elite. And basically, from what I had been hearing, it was this vlog about these wrestlers called the Young Bucks. And I was confused why everyone was so abuzz about a vlog. Don't get me wrong, I understand that vlogs have a place in this world. But with professional wrestling, I was kind of confused that this was a big topic of discussion. I think it was, let's say, September or October of that year that I finally decided to go to YouTube and type in Being the Elite. And I watched, I think it was the episode where Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny and Hangman and Marty went to raid the WWE parking lot at one of their shows in Ontario, California. And then something in my head switched. I'm not exactly sure what switched, but I think I started realizing that, this actually has sports entertainment too. And I really enjoy it, and I'm able to connect with these characters and fall in love with them. I remember then just wanting everything having to do with the Young Bucks and this faction called the Bullet Club. I remember convincing one of my really good friends to drive me to Hot Topic so I could get a Bullet Club shirt. I didn't even know much about the Bullet Club. I just loved the Elite. I thought they were the coolest thing in the world. And then I decided, okay, I want to start watching them in wrestling matches. And I don't exactly remember what match that I saw first, but I know it was a match that had the Young Bucks in it. And oh my gosh, I just fell in love, because I think this is the first time that I really saw tag team wrestling that was worth watching. That's not fair. I was watching that summer when the Usos and the New Day were having some incredible matches. But I think besides that, this was one of the times that I actually saw a tag team that was incredibly cohesive. It didn't seem like an afterthought. And seeing these two guys who were brothers just kicking ass every night in the ring really opened my eyes to the world of professional wrestling even more, that it's more than just sports entertainment, it's pro wrestling. From then, I finally got myself to watch Omega Okada. I watched every match, and then I finally understood why that series is so important. And I think if you want to watch an Omega Okada match, you have to watch all of them in order. It will help you appreciate it. So anyways, I then remember Being the Elite being something that I enjoyed. But the problem is I wanted to share it with my girlfriend, who was a wrestling fan at the time, but like me, was just into WWE. That's all she could really stomach, because she didn't quite understand the other stuff. And I just remember telling her, I think it was in January, Sarah, please watch Being the Elite. And I kind of bugged her to. And she was like, okay, but if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to start from the beginning. And I remember getting a text from her maybe like a couple hours later saying like, I'm on episode 20. This is freaking amazing. And I think that was so important to me because we were about 8 or 9 months into our relationship, and everything was going really well. But I think the cool thing about professional wrestling was this was something that we kind of developed at the start of our relationship together. So we had never shared this love with anyone else. She had some matches she enjoyed watching with her sister and brother-in-law, but this was really something that we developed together. And I think that, at least to me, and I'm sure to her, was really important, which is why when she started enjoying Being the Elite, it made everything so much more special, which is why within that year when the Bullet Club was breaking up and when we got the amazing Omega and Ibushi versus Young Bucks matches, watching them with her at like 5 a.m. was amazing. It was awesome. New Japan and, for the most part, Ring of Honor gave us some of the most amazing matches that we could ever want. And I'm not sure where I would be as a wrestling fan if it wasn't for Being the Elite. Being the Elite has given me and my girlfriend so much, not only to us as wrestling fans, but in our relationship. It gave us something to bond over. It was so much fun going to our first All Elite Wrestling show this year together. That was an experience I'm so glad I got to share with her. Getting to meet Sammy Guevara just by chance was amazing. I think the best thing about Being the Elite, especially in what I consider its prime, which was when they were in Ring of Honor, when they had people like Marty Scurll and Flip Gordon involved, was that it felt like a time not to be totally serious. The best thing to me about Being the Elite, the thing that was most important, was that in the prime time when they had people like Flip Gordon and Marty Scurll, was that it was a time to not be serious. And they had their time to be serious when it came to their wrestling matches. But during the time of Being the Elite, it was okay for that to be bizarre. But also what was amazing is those storylines carried over into the matches, which was brilliant. And especially in the lead into All In, it was perfect. Personally, I think Being the Elite has maybe lost a little bit of its charm. I'm glad that they have a lot more equipment, and I think it's awesome. But I think sometimes the appeal was the kitschy iMovie music and their dad making new songs and everything feeling very homemade. And don't get me wrong, Brandon Cutler is doing an amazing job with what he's doing. But I do think Being the Elite is coming to an end. I think they are probably running out of ideas, and I've heard rumors as such. And I think that's okay. And I'm sure one day that they'll bring it back, and we'll all be so happy. But the thing I'm most grateful for with Being the Elite is that they taught me to appreciate all types of wrestling. which led me to love people like Keith Lee, who was never really associated with them at all, but gave me someone like Keith Lee to fall in love with, or fall in love with other people in New Japan. And still following it to this day, they led me to people like Will Ospreay. And I think having something like that to teach me WWE is not the only option is great, because I'm sure if WWE was the only thing I watched, I would no longer be a wrestling fan. And that's not to knock WWE. It's just that you only can enjoy being shat on as a fan for so long. And yes, moments like Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship or Becky Lynch winning both titles at WrestleMania are amazing. But sometimes you feel like if the pain is really worth it. And AEW has taught me sometimes you don't have to suffer. I think the one thing I wish Being the Elite would do less is take shots at WWE. I just don't necessarily think it's always necessary. At this time, I would like to just say thank you to Matt and Nick and Kenny and Cody and Flip and Marty and Hangman for giving me something that I still feel like changed my life as a wrestling fan. I know this probably sounds kitschy for some people. Some people are going to say AEW mark, Being the Elite mark, and that's okay. Give me those titles, because I'm proud to have been following them for a very long time. I hope listening to me tell the story gave you some perspective of why you became a wrestling fan, and maybe to try something new if you're not quite sure. And understand that every wrestling out there is there to serve some type of fan. And that might not be for you, and that's okay. So don't just knock a certain wrestling promotion. And it's okay to say, like, I don't like something and I think it's bad. But don't call a wrestling fan stupid for enjoying something. Like, if you called me stupid for liking Being the Elite, like, I'll take it, but that's completely not your place to say that. You could say you think it's stupid, and that's okay, and you have your valid reasons. And I could say I think WWE is stupid, and that's okay because I have my reasons. But I can't call someone stupid for enjoying WWE. And I think Being the Elite has helped make me grow as a wrestling fan, and it definitely has helped bring me and my girlfriend even closer together. Thank you for listening to me be sappy for a minute. Please let me know what type of wrestling videos you'd like to see in the future. Please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, have a great day.